You've numbed yourself to life. It's not that you're depressed, you're simply overstimulated and your brain is desensitized. Let me explain. In your brain, there's basically a system called the dopaminergic reward circuit. And it's that whole circuit that tells you whether something felt good and if you should do it again. So when you eat good food, when you exercise, when you talk with a friend, your brain releases dopamine. But the problem is that modern life completely hijacked that whole system. You see, now it's way easier to get dopamine. Things like social media, porn, video games, junk food, all these things spike your dopamine way higher than what normal habits like, connecting with your friends or exercising actually does. And when a system in your brain gets abused by, increasing the levels of dopamine way high, it adapts. Meaning that now your brain will desensitize itself, so you need more stimulation to feel something. So now the normal things like, reading a book, exercising, talking with friends, they're not exciting anymore. They're not motivating you anymore. Now they feel boring. But these things, they're not boring. You're simply overstimulated. And I think we can all agree that this modern day lifestyle is not making any one of us happier. We're isolating ourselves from real life experiences in pursuit of this quick, intense spike in dopamine. But I think you can agree with me when I say that the real joy in life doesn't come from these quick, intense bursts in pleasure. I mean, can you even recall what was the shorts, the reels you watched yesterday? You can probably not recall any single one of them. The real joy we get out of life comes from the memories we make with the people we love. I know it sounds cliche, but that's what it is. So how can you resensitize your brain to life, to these beautiful memories that you'll be making, and so that you feel like a kid again? Because it's absolutely possible. And the solution is actually quite simple. It's a dopamine detox. Now, you've probably heard of the term dopamine detox before, and it's probably somewhat interesting to you because you clicked on this video. Maybe you're a little bit fearful as to what your life will be when you're on the dopamine detox. But a dopamine detox is not you detoxing yourself from dopamine. As you know, dopamine is simply a molecule. In a dopamine detox, you don't detoxify yourself from dopamine, you replace habits. You replace bad dopamine, what I call bad dopamine, with good dopamine. Now, of course, there's no bad or good dopamine, it's simply a molecule. But the activities that you do, when it's easy to get dopamine, when you don't have to do much, when it's a bad habit, that's a bad dopamine. So junk food, video games, porn, you name it, right? And good dopamines, like exercise, talking with a friend, usually they're a little bit harder. There's more friction to get to it. It takes more time for you to increase your dopamine levels, but when you do increase them, it lasts for so much longer. So on a dopamine detox, you make a list of all the bad dopamines you have in your life. I don't know what your vices are, but make a list out of them. Maybe you watch a lot of Netflix, right? Maybe you play video games. All these things, if you want a dopamine detox to work, feel like a kid again, and make great memories, you need to take it to the extreme. It needs to be somewhat intense because the pleasure you get out of scrolling on your phone is extremely intense. You need to completely cut that out so that the only thing that's left behind is the good dopamine. Now, of course, when you make a list of these bad dopamines, you need to have in mind what you'll be doing instead of these bad habits. Because trust me, if you just say, I'm not gonna do any of these anymore, so you come back home from school or work, what are you gonna do? If you just sit there and wait, you're gonna relapse. You're gonna go back to these bad habits. You need to be doing something instead. Maybe for you, instead of scrolling on YouTube and watching plenty of random videos, maybe you watch a podcast, something that's long, something that's educative. And at first, for the first few days, it's gonna be extremely hard. You're gonna be so bored, more bored than you've ever been before, because you were used to a high level baseline of dopamine, and now you're over here. So you feel extremely bad. But if you wait, if you get through that phase, your baseline will start to drop. And at one point, usually it takes a few days, you're gonna start to feel happier just doing these good dopamine habits. Now, if you really want a dopamine detox to work, I say do it for at least a month. Now, you can do it for more than a month, but usually the only thing you need is 1 month. 1 month of dopamine detox. So now your brain completely gets resensitized to low levels of dopamine, meaning, the good habits. So now once your month is over and that you can go back to, scrolling on your phone if you want to, because of all the things you're gonna have learned during this dopamine detox, you're not gonna wanna do it. You're not gonna wanna indulge. Or at least if you start to indulge, it's gonna start slowly. And over time, you might get back into a rut, into your brain being desensitized to life. But once that happens, you need another dopamine detox. I think doing a dopamine detox for like a full year is basically impossible. You're gonna have times where you feel incredible about yourself, but then you start indulging and you get worse over time. But then you do another dopamine detox, and over time, over a full year, you're getting better. Even though sometimes there are troughs, you're getting better and better. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you take action, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah.